YouTube. Oh, I'm skipping ahead. Let me go back up. Hello YouTube. I believe we are live. Let me just double check to make sure that everything is going okay on YouTube, and then I will jump over onto Twitch and make sure that's up and running as well. Oh, or you could give me ads and I could watch those ads, but I'm not going to. It's just not going to happen. Okay, Twitch, YouTube's good to go. That means we are now going to boot up Twitch and make sure that that is up and running. Give me 1 second. No, I don't want to watch anybody else's stuff right now. Thank you. I just want to go. Ooh, rewards are enabled on the Twitch channel. Oh, cool. Thanks. View some details. Oh, you get Discord Nitro. Okay, cool. I'm glad that didn't open up anything I didn't want it to open up. I'm real glad that that was okay. Oh man. Give me a sec. I think we're live now. Just double checking. We are now good to go. Okay. I'm just gonna go chat only here. Boop, bop. Sweet. Hello, everybody. Let me just send a message out in Twitch chat. Hello, chat. Make sure that everything is a-okay. I expected to have Conplague coming home from NYCC, which I get pretty much every year. It's an inevitability at this point, or so I thought. Actually, I woke up on Saturday and I felt like garbage, and I was like, I have Conplague, and somehow I beat it out of my system by Sunday. I don't know how that happened, but I'm gonna take it. Okay, I never get out of Comic-Con unscathed, so that's fine for me. I'm not sure how many videos or what kind of content I'll be releasing about Comic-Con, but I do want to say that was a terrible time for my entire mouth to just get dry, like cotton mouth style. I do want to say that I did get to play Uni and the Hunt for the Lost Horn at Comic-Con, and I have some feels about it. But before I get into anything else about Uni and the Lost Horn, I just want to say that one of the things, so the group that I played with, we had a DM, we had me, Grimjack, another DM for the event came to our table to make sure that we'd have enough people to play, which was super cool of them. They didn't have to do that, but they did. And then the last player in our group was that DM that was playing with us, his cousin, and happened to be around. They were, I'll play, and they have very little D&D experience, so it was super cool. We had a pretty good gamut of players there. But this is no, I don't think this was a fault of Baldman Games. They're the ones who are running it. I think it was more like a Comic-Con fault. The way that Comic-Con described it, or like the New York Comic-Con website, was that you could go in at any of the, basically every 2 hours, you could go down to the D&D area, the tabletop area, and just join a game. And the way it actually worked was you were supposed to go super early in the morning and sign up for a slot. And they had a primer on how to play D&D, and then they also had a Uni and the Hunt for the Lost Horn thing. They were also running what seemed like Adventurers League games interspersed between the tables, but we don't have to worry about that. That's irrelevant to this conversation. But Uni and the Hunt for the Lost Horn does run with 2024 rules. However, it uses the characters from the TV show. And it's a level 4 adventure, so your characters sort of have things built up already for them. And they each have a super powerful magic item that's loosely based on what they had during the show. I couldn't figure out, though, you'll see here that the adventure is designed for 6 level 4 characters. You can take control of the protagonists from the D&D cartoon, which was back in the day. It's an 80s show. But there was also a 7th character who was a cleric who isn't from the show, but took the place there. The weird thing was, though, that the RDM for the game and the other DM that was playing both commented on the fact that Baldman Games did not give out character sheets for Hank, who is the fighter, but they had them for all the other characters. The weird thing is they couldn't figure out why. They had no reason why. And I'm thinking it's only because... Oh, sorry, is it Eric and not... Sorry, I messed it up. Hank is the ranger. Sorry, Hank. I meant Eric. You would think I would... I wasn't born when the cartoon came out, so I'm not as attached to the characters as other people would be. But Eric, the fighter, he has 21 AC at 4th level, so that's pretty high. But his magic item can project a field that makes basically you and anyone else within the bubble shield of it untargetable. And as far as we can guess, Baldman Games probably left that out because that's a very difficult thing to explain to brand new players. That being said, we did play the adventure. You're intended to just wallop everything in there. Our whole crew almost died. So while yes, healing spells are much better in 2024, and there's a whole bunch of extra stuff to deal with, like you have these weapon mastery things so that all your weapons now have some secondary ability attached to them. Our DM didn't go over any of that. Like, he just skipped it completely. Weapon mastery was never brought up. But one thing that I will say is he did make sure to talk about Bloodied, which is officially, we've talked about this on Roundtable before, Bloodied is going to become an official condition in air quotes with the 2024 rules, but Bloodied just means you have half or less hit points. It doesn't actually denote anything, but we do know from some leaks from wizards and things they've hinted at that creature stat blocks now may have sections that say stuff like, oh, when this creature is bloodied and it gains some new ability or performs some new action. So you will see Bloodied more actively, rather than DMs just saying it as a way to describe creatures, because people have been using Bloodied since 2014 rules. It's just it wasn't official before. Our DM totally ignored Emanation. He did give us a chat about the attitudes of friendly, hostile, and indifferent, and this is a new way to describe how other creatures in the world react to you and your party. And honestly, I think it will help if you have these official terms, so that if you move from one table to the next, like if you're playing in multiple campaigns, there's a more easy way for the DM to explain to you, like, oh, this guy is friendly right now, so you probably, whatever you say probably will hold a lot of weight. Or on the opposite end, they're hostile towards you. Whatever you say, they're probably not going to listen to, so you better make this count. Indifference just in the middle. And influence action is very much related to that. People basically will react to you based on how they feel, which is good. Our DM did, in fact, have a chat with us about the invisible condition. I was trying to figure out why he brought it up. Like, he made sure that we knew about it, because now you can have the invisible condition without being invisible. You don't necessarily have to be invisible to gain the surprise, concealed, and attacks affected portions, which is weird because it's confusing to use to say, like, hey, that character's invisible, and then also be like, hey, right now you have the condition invisible, which means you're not actually invisible, but you get all the benefits. I think that in and of itself will be confusing to players. I don't really think he did anything other than that. Besides, he talked about unarmed strikes, but only to tell Grimjack, who's never played a monk before, like, oh, you don't only have to unarmed strike, you can do flurry of blows and all that, blah, 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 blah. Also, I'm just going to put this one out there into the ether. So when we were playing, Grimjack happened to knock out the bugbear that you fight in here, or you talk to, or whatever. He happened to kill that bugbear by punching it. And later on in the campaign, like 15 minutes later, Grimjack says to the rest of the group of us at the table, he's like, hey, do I have rope in my explorer's pack? And the DM's like, yeah. And Grimjack goes, well, can I tie up this bugbear for when he wakes up? And all of us are like, what do you mean for when he wakes up? And Grimjack goes, well, I punched him, so he's going to stand up. And we're like, no, you killed that man. You killed him, yo. And he's like, no, well, I punched him, so he should be dead. And again, we're like, what? And he goes, it's a punch, so it's non-lethal. And we're like, did you declare it non-lethal? At least me, our DM, and the other DM that was playing, the three of us are like, did you declare that it was non-lethal? And Grimjack's like, no. But people don't die from being punched. And almost as if we had rehearsed it, me, the DM, and the other guy, what up? Me, the DM, and the other DM that was playing all simultaneously go, no, people die from being punched.
I'm don't quote me, but I'm fairly sure a monk would register his hands as a deadly weapon.
Uh-huh. It was just so good. We all said it simultaneously. It was so good.
Like, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure your hands are a deadly weapon.
How are you, Shin?
Not too bad, not too bad. Recovering. Unfortunately, I am a consistent sufferer of what is known as chronic sinusitis, aka when I catch a cold, it triggers everything about my sinuses, and I get what's called a nasty post-nasal drip. So if I sound extra nasally, I apologize.
I think you sound pretty good.
I just get a nasty cough. You probably remember how our friend who does media, and how one of our friends that does media, his name is in Discord, sometimes had like a bad cough. Sometimes I get that similar cough. It's like a horrible. It can be like a really bad like whooping cough, and I get like really heavily congested. But it's nothing that it clears itself up. It's not a contagious thing. It's just more like in a post-pandemic world, people look at me funny, and I go, and I don't have a Joker card that's just like I have chronic sinusitis. Sorry, I caught a cold at one point, and this is the after effect. So we'll be here. We're gonna fight for our right to Yardy.
Good. The only other thing that our listen, I'm not gonna. I will say I was gonna say I'm not gonna say like our DM was bad. I think he'd been running it for 4 days and was tired, and also we weren't supposed to be there. Realistically, I'm guessing we came in on his break, because the way that Comic-Con set it up, like I said before, is Comic-Con said, hey, every 2 hours come down to the D&D area and you can join a game. But actually the way it was run was you're supposed to go early in the morning on that day and sign up for a time slot, but nobody says that. So we went down on Saturday at like 11, and I was like, hey, can we play in the next one? And I'm the chillest old dude. Like, the only way I can describe him is OG. OG there, he like, I swear he had like his feet up.
He was there before tabletops were a table.
Yeah.
Like before TTRPGs were played on the table, back when they were played in the mud.
Yeah.
He was there.
I swear he had like his feet up, and he pulled out a paper and he was like, I have one open slot for the game in 30 minutes, and I have one open slot for the very last game of the day. And I was like, what? Huh? Hey? And I was like, okay, so if I want to play tomorrow, I should come in early in the morning and sign up for a slot. And he was like, yeah. Come real early, like when the show opens. And I was like, oh. Yeah, they didn't advertise this the right way.
I will say, though, in the situation of dealing with large-scale events like that, where you are dealing with having multiple groups going through things, I do think you need to have rotating DMs in a day. Because long sessions can burn someone out, but long repeated sessions, I've never thought to myself, like I say, I usually run a 3 to 4 hour session. I don't know how I would feel if I ran 3-4 hours or like 4 3-hour sessions in my day, or even like 4 2-hour sessions in a day. That was the exact same thing with maybe like 30 minutes to clean up and like get some water. Like that's a lot. That's a lot, because even if you're running an adventure, you're going to deal with things. Obviously, I was listening as you mentioned, you're going to deal with things. And in a situation like that, you're going to deal with new players, older players who understand maybe 2014 and not so much 2024, which is what I'm imagining they were really trying to get across with the Union and the Lost Horn. Classes, magic. Looking at it like we did last week, I saw some of the stuff they have as a DM. That to me seemed wildly imbalanced. So for me, I would want to look at this and be like, wait, why are these people so powerful at level 4? You know what I mean? Why am I dealing with 10th level power people at level 4? Is kind of the way I would look at it almost. So yeah, there has to be, I think, a break, but also you can burn out. I think your DM probably was suffering from DM burnout after a while. You're just like, I just want to run people through it. And again, I think because of this is my own personal opinion. Nobody attack me and rake me over the coals for this one. I promise. It's a fair opinion. But I do think that there were probably a number of people who did go. I'm an older DM, I guess, like an older DM now. I can almost say now, or I don't follow necessarily like all 5e stuff all the time, and I'm not the biggest proponent of like Critical Role myself. I love what it's done for the community, but I think maybe a lot of people are expecting to get that experience and expecting every DM to be like Matt Mercer.
Yeah.
And I think Matt Mercer's an amazing DM. I think he does a great job. I think he's done an amazing job with everything at Critical Role. I also think, though, that that's kind of a hard bar to set for a DM, especially if you're going into it and all you know is Critical Role. So I think that there might have been some untampered expectations, and also unlike a real campaign, you don't get to sit down and know your players' strengths and weaknesses. So you're kind of dealing with you're trying to do weeks worth of prep work in 2 hours, because you have to introduce characters, players, and complete the story, and then kick everybody. How long was the session? I forgot to ask completely.
They're supposed to be in 2-hour blocks, but ours was done for sure the fastest. We didn't start at the same time as everyone else, but everyone else was, I'm going to guess, based on... So right behind me, there was a table that I think was doing something for Adventurers League. They weren't doing Union the Lost Horn, and they weren't doing the Let's Make a Character, because that's what Comic-Con advertised. But they were on some adventure with a boat, and they had the huge, like, Whiz Kids boat mini at the table, and their DM kept like standing up and talking in pirate speak and yarring this and yarring that, what have you. And I'm like, they're definitely not doing what we're doing. And level 1, like what he's yelling about spells, I guarantee that he's not doing a level 1 game. But our guy was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I know we started late, so we're just gonna zoom through." And I took that to mean like, "Oh, hey, we'll give you a basic gist of your stuff." But instead of introducing, he handed our sheets. So our table was me, Grimjack. One of the other DMs for the event came and joined us because we needed one more person. And his cousin played at our table, she'd only played D&D once before, and so she was like, "Hey, if you need another person, I'll play. I want to play this." And I was like, "Yes, we have like a pretty good gamut of people here." But like our DM, whenever someone had a quote, not whenever, but most of the questions that were asked by Grimjack or me or the other player at the table were answered by me or the other DM that was also a player. Like our guy was just like, zoom, zoom, zoom. I'm not going to really explain anything to you. If it's something on your character sheet, he would be like, "Oh, look at page 2 of your sheet." And then he would just go. And he would just roll stuff but not tell you why. And like me and the other DM, we sort of know what we're doing, so we can figure it out. But as we all know, Grimbo don't read his sheet, so it was very hard for him to figure out what was going on. And the other girl was having a rough time at the beginning.
Yeah,
But our DM didn't have dice at his table for new players. I was like, "How you gonna run an introductory session for people? Why would these people who have never played before have brought their dice to Comic-Con?"
Yeah, that's I've like the dice you can literally buy dice.
The other DM at our table was like, "Don't worry, guys, I got you." And he ran over to the table that he was running, or he would have been running if he had people for this slot, and he just grabbed a bunch of dice and gave them to us. And I was like, "Oh, cool, thank you." But like our DM, he had in his dice tray he had way more than one set. It's just when I was like, I don't have my dice with me. I looked at him and he like legitimately hoarded his dice tray closer to him. And I was like, okay, I guess I don't have dice.
I've never been to a session 1 that's BYOD. I've never even heard the term BYOD, bring your own dice.
I think we were disturbed by the fact that Okami didn't have dice on him.
I said that. I was like, this is the one day I don't have dice on me. And funnily enough, later that day, we went to a panel and they gave us a D20. And I was like, I wish I had had this before.
I'm dead. I'm dead. But it also just seems like it wasn't an official WotC sponsored event, right? Or was it?
It was through
WotC
Baldman Games, but I think because they were playing Adventurers League, it must have be official because that's like pro D&D.
But yeah, because Baldman Games, they do all of the event management for D&D stuff at like PAX and everything like that. So I don't understand how Baldman Games doesn't have dice. Like I think that's the thing that really throws me for a loop. How does Baldwin...
Maybe they were stolen by a previous group.
I wouldn't put that past them.
Yeah, but
people walked away with it at the end of the game.
It was the last day.
They had a bag of dice for everybody. That's just me because you were in slots, so I'd imagine they had a max number of people they were gonna have. So you just figure, like, at least as large as they are, they probably can get, as crazy as it's gonna sound out loud to say, dice on wholesale. There's got to be like a TTRPG Costco.
I mean, even on Amazon, a basic set of Chessex is like what, $5?
Like the huge packs that I get.
Non-Chessex version.
Yeah. I get like a 30-pack of 7 sets, a 30-pack of 7 sets for like $20.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I buy anytime I have like 2 sets of those like lying around because whenever I start a new campaign with people, if I know there's new players, my first gift to everyone is their own dice.
Yeah, same.
I'm like, oh, you've never played? Here's it comes. They always come with dice bags and dice. I just hand it to each player, and they're all always like, oh my goodness, dice. And I'm like, yeah, they're yours. Congratulations on your first set of dice. There's probably
I'm
so
cheap.
many people. Well,
you're playing digitally. It's different.
Yeah, it's very, and I usually play digitally. It's when I'm playing with people in person only. If I'm playing,
Yeah, no, but that would never have occurred to me.
Oh, yeah. It came to me one day. It came to me one day because the DM that Okami and I have both been through, Exo Clubs, he handed me he handed me some dice. He was like, we were all sitting around. He's like, oh, hey, man, thanks for playing. And he gave me dice. And I was like, I felt like Dobby at the end of Harry Potter, where I was like, Master's giving Dobby some dice. He's a real player now. Like, what do I do?
He even wrapped our dice up all nice, and he like doodled symbols that were related to our characters on them. Like, oh,
yeah.
I still have the wrapping around mine.
But like, I thought, I was like, oh, because that was kind of my pre-DMing experience. I felt like, oh, that's just what you do. I had played with other DMs before, but it was kind of like I was playing with players who had already played, so I brought my own dice naturally. And I guess my DMs back then were always just like, oh, he has dice, cool. Like, plus we were youthful and broke. So I guess like in his head, he was just like, don't even worry about it. Like, yeah, I got you guys dice. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is what you do now. And so instinctively, if I knew I was getting new players, I was like, oh, if I see them in person, I'm handing them dice. And it kind of became like my gift bag. Like, thanks for playing. If you never remember this campaign, you will see this dice.
That's like in my, I guess technically it is a design document, but like my own personal design document for sessions that I like to run in the future is like, oh, if somebody's paying me to be their DM, I'm probably going to give them something so they can have some dice.
Yeah, I think dice. Now I've heard of DMs who are like, oh yeah, sometimes I like to give my players minis of their characters, and I'm like, that's expensive. I can give you the VTT file.
Yeah, I'll give you the token. Yeah, that's just how that's how my experience went. I definitely feel like these characters are super. Our DM explained to us, instead of getting to know our characters, like he didn't even tell the other people at the group like what the other characters were named. The only time it came up was when so they ran it in group initiative because it's a con and you don't want to roll all the initiative and figure it out, what have you. And like Grimbo cannot figure out group initiative. I don't know what it is, but like the concept of it to Grimbo just blows his mind. So he was constantly saying, "Oh, I do this. It's my turn. It's my turn." We'd be like, "Nobody else went yet, man. That's not you. You gotta let other people do the thing." But we didn't know. I wouldn't have known the other characters' names unless I was like listening directly to the DM for that one split second. But when we started, he was like, okay, so this is intended to be played as though it's a Saturday morning cartoon, so it's kid stuff. You're supposed to win. Just go into everything assuming that all the good stuff will happen to you. Because it's really hard to die.
Did Jack perk up?
Yeah, we all almost died.
Oh, he lied?
No, we had to save Grimbo, which made everyone get hurt, except for our rogue. Our rogue popped up the invisibility cloak and stayed invisible the whole time. But Grimjack said, and I quote, "Wait, I'm the only fighter. I'm the only marshal here, right? Even though we have a rogue." He's like, "I'm clearly the tank," and he was the monk, so he just ran in and tried to punch everyone. And then I had to leave cover to go heal him because I was the cleric. And then our wizard
to
was
be
like,
fair,
everyone's gonna die. And I was like, you don't have to go in there too, Mr. Wizard. You can hide behind me.
that is kind of how the new monk is built, though.
It's true.
Yeah, the monk and barbarian do seem to have a lot of tank options now, and it's very interesting that. So he wasn't completely wrong. I agree with
It's
DM
true.
Lacara. He wasn't completely wrong.
He
I think,
didn't.
though,
Our DM didn't tell him that he could deflect strikes or missiles. I was like, bro, you should look at your focus points. They're not key points anymore because that's too weeb. You can do focus point stuff. Like our DM didn't tell him that he could deflect any of the strikes that he was taking, and our DM didn't tell him that he could use flurry of blows. He was like, oh yeah, you could just unarmed strike once, and I was like, alternatively, you could unarmed strike twice.
Could you? I know you have it open right now. Could you pull up the monk's character sheet really quickly?
Uh-huh.
I wanna read it.
So much of this makes me so angry.
Oh, DM Lacara, you and I are both burning this with the same energy of the sun. So don't worry, you're not alone.
He did tell him that in the one that he did describe to him was Step of the Wind, that he could dash. But okay, this is not a dig, but it's gonna sound like a dig because we all know Grimbo doesn't read his sheet very often, what have you. But he was like, you can now bonus action as a dash if you use Step of the Wind with your key points or your focus points. And Grimbo was like, okay, so I take my movement speed, and then I take my movement speed 2 more times. And everyone at the table was like, how did you get 3 from 1 + 1? I don't. He's like, well, you told me I can bonus action, so I'm going to run, and then I'm going to run again, and then I'm going to run again. And we were like, again? How are you getting 3 from 1 + 1?
Is he thinking he was going to run for his action and then dash as his bonus action?
Nope, he'd already punched somebody in the face.
Wait.
Okay. I was trying to give him the benefit of the
Yeah.
I will say this, and this is my PSA to both DMs and players. And anyone new who's watching this, either as a VOD, as a full video, or even currently here lurking in the background.
Or Arvin.
Well, Arvin's here. I know Arvin's here.
Mm-hmm.
I know. But reading your sheet explains your abilities. And if it isn't on there and you need clarification, or if you feel that a new player may not understand the mechanics, as a DM or GM, you should explain to a player all of their options upon character selection. Like a fine example of a monk, when someone asks me, because again, I think like for me, an approach to a new player trying to pick a character class is, what do you want your character to do? Like what do they do in this fantasy world? And I usually start with like, do you need a weapon, or do you like to cast spells, or do you like to sit back and like be sneaky or range? And I kind of base it off of almost like some of those old video games where they have those branching questions. It was really big in like the Tactics Ogre games.
Oh,
Where like, if depending on the way you answered, you got certain things. And I'll go, okay, cool. You're a blank. It's like any of those personality quizzes too. I kind of treat it that way. But if you don't explain to your player that they can do so many things, or that they can pull off certain things, like if you don't say to your player, oh, you want to be a monk, so you're super dexterous, you don't wear armor, but you're a martial arts trainee, like you are swift. Think like Shaolin monk. You've got flurry of blows, so you can strike twice after a main strike. I would flavor it in a way that like, ooh. And then I would say, but look at your sheet to see what else. And if you have questions, let me know. And then I bounce to the next person. I feel like your DM didn't even just go. I feel he went, cool, you want to be her? Threw the sheet at him and walked away. That's how
Yeah,
it felt.
basically.
That's how. That's not good. That's no fun.
Also,
I'm like-
if you're actually
No, you go.
if you're actually running like a campaign, not a one shot like this, like having a mini session first where everybody kind of breaks in their character, where you get a little bit of chit chat and a little bit of fighting is the way to go. When our group was first deciding whether we wanted to get into D&D, our DM actually started us with a non-5e system with a one shot. And we did that. It took us like 2 weeks to like knock it out, just to see if we enjoyed doing it and to get an idea of like the kinds of things you would be doing, and then had us build our character. Like there's no harm in doing something that is not your story first to get everybody used to the way to think and like start building their backstory and stuff, because those stupid jokes from your episode 0 are going to be coming back like 3 years later.
Yes. Yes.
Like, and that's great, and that's how you start building those bonds and everything, because your players need to bond before their characters can bond, and
Like,
that's a good way to do it.
100%.
Normalize session 0.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yep.
There is no, your first session is not session 1. Your first session with your players should never be, we're dropping ourselves in there. It should always be session 0. I have a session 0 I'm dealing with tomorrow.
Ooh.
I think. I don't know. We'll see how I feel. We'll see how I feel if I feel like it. But I have a session 0. Well, I'm play testing a game that I've been working on, so I'm gonna see how it works. But I'm hitting them with the session 0 because these are mechanics that don't exist. These are mechanics I've written, so I can't expect them to know how these mechanics work. I have to sit them down for session 0. But these are players that I've run through D&D, so I can skip a few things. But at the same time, I also have to kind of think to myself, okay, how different is this from what they're used to? And instead of basing it completely off of, them knowing how tabletops work, I'm just going to base it off, how a board game works? So you know how dice work. Here's the rules of the dice, and here's how the dice work in this. And I'm going to work it off of that. Just taking it out of, but like you said, your DM Lacara, ran you guys through a non-D&D based system just to get you guys used to tabletops. And I think that's really important because tabletops aren't video games, no matter how much WotC tries.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. Let me see if I can remember this. I've been holding up my fingers to be like, oh, important points now. But that first one, what you said about session 0 not even having to be part of the story, I think is super important, especially if your players are brand new. Let them get a chance to give them a chance to see how that character plays. Because maybe what they thought they wanted in actuality is something that they don't want. So give them a shot before they're locked in and they're like, I hate what I'm doing.
Dream sequences are a great way to do that.
Oh, that's good. And then the second one, the bonding thing. I have another friend. I had this conversation with the Laundry King about another friend who she hyperfixates on things. She just got into D&D and tabletop and what have you. And she's been watching all these actual plays. And she finally signed up at her friendly local game store to play her first game. And she goes and she sits down at the table. And she doesn't know anybody at the table. She's never met these people before in her life. And she plays through the first session and she comes back and she's like, I'm not going to go again because there was no camaraderie between us. We didn't have any of these like jokes. It wasn't funny like an actual play. And I was like, you literally just met these people. You can't have an inside joke with another person you haven't been inside with yet.
In a crazy way, you're in the truest form of the start of a campaign. 5 random strangers hired to accomplish one task. You build jokes, you build laughter, you build camaraderie. I feel bad that they had that experience, obviously, and I'm sorry, obviously that they went through that, but you do have to build those things for your character because the game will only dictate who your character is based on your actions in character. No matter how much prep we do and crazy bosses and worlds we set up, we can set up the 7-headed Dragon King. But if you happen to know Draconic and you want to play off that in the attack of attacking one of the heads, your character walks up and is like, "Hey, why are you doing this?" I'm not expecting you to walk up and talk to the dragon head. But you could have created an entire side plot for yourself. And that becomes a thing. I think even going back to an old campaign of ours, County, where I always made the joke that I was going to, as a bard, I decided to try my hand at the plucky bard option, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to seduce the Princess of Hell. That's what I'll do. She wanted to kill us, and I was like, nah, I'm going to get her to join our side somehow. And everyone in the group was like, that's such a terrible idea. You're going to die. You're absolutely going to die. And they're like, please don't do that. Please don't do that. And I was like, I don't know. I think it's going to work out somehow. I don't think it was ever going to work out, quite honestly.
Maybe. You got to keep that bard optimism.
Yeah. But, who knows? Maybe I would have gotten a nat 20. You never know. You could have gotten a nat 20 and dude's done that. But that's the kind of fun stuff that you then get as a running joke in your campaign. In DM Lacara's campaign, she's mentioned a couple of times your new were-deer form. and your aversion to doorways. But now, like you said, every time you pass a doorway, you're probably like, oh God, please don't let me transform.
You know what the best part is that I just realized myself the other day?
Oh?
In our world, there are 6 moons.
Ooh.
It is a full moon every few weeks. For a whole week.
Wait, so that means there's a week where he's just permanently transformed?
I mean, every time it gets dark. Yep.
I love this. Oh.
It's so much worse than a normal world.
On the bright side, were-deer doesn't seem to change your alignment, so I'm just as awkward as I am in human form.
I think you're gonna raise less eyebrows as a were-deer.
Yeah, like I said, you're just the deer from Adventure Time. You're not quite Chopper from One Piece. You're just the deer from Adventure Time.
Oh. Okay, this is unrelated, but it is related to Chopper. When we were taking the subway in towards Hudson Yards on Saturday, this whole family got on the train. They were all dressed up as One Piece characters. And the kid, I'm going to say he's probably like 7 or 8. He had his nose painted. He had the Chopper hat. He had little like mittens on. And he tried to get up on the seat on the subway, and he like fell over on top of me. He was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I looked at him and I was like, hey man, as long as you're not in Monster Point, you're not going to hurt me. And the way this little kid's eyes lit up and then all his family started laughing, and like I felt like even if the rest of his Comic-Con is crappy, that's what's going to live on for him.
Oh.
It's like
I did my good deed for the day.
It's like way too wholesome. I don't even know how to handle that.
I hope that's a core memory for him in his Comic-Con memories. I hope.
I hope he passes by you one day, like 20 years from now. He's like, hey, you're on the subway when I was dressed as Chopper, right? And you're like, huh?
That was me.
It's like that. Yeah, that was me, man. And he's like with his like family. They're also. I mean, it won't even be 20 years from now. One Piece will have actually been over.
We hope.
No, it will be. We're in the final arcs according to Oda. whatever that really means. Whatever that truly means, but cool. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll
I
see.
didn't know that was still running.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, since '99.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Are they trying to outlast Bleach?
Oh, they've outrun Bleach.
Yeah.
They're entering like
Bleach took like a huge break too.
yeah. They've overlapped Bleach and Naruto at this point.
I think combined, it's longer.
Yeah, and both the original run of Bleach and Naruto. Yes, I think. It might be at the end. I think they're right now. The anime is on a 6-month break because they're like caught up.
Yeah, they're just about to catch up. They're like, we'll wait. We know how much you guys love filler, so we're gonna wait.
I could not get into One Piece.
It's not for everybody.
I'm gonna tell you how I became a One Piece fan. I started reading it at the same time as I started, like when I started getting into anime as a whole, and as I was old enough to like start going to like Chinatown and stuff like that to like get stuff and really dive into it. I picked up stuff like Big O and Bleach, and One Piece was one of them. And so I started watching One Piece when the anime came out. And I was like, oh, this is super cool, super cool. And then I got invested because I got curious as to what happens next. And when it hit the point where I realized it was still ongoing, I was like, I should stop. I was too far in to not see the ending.
Oh no.
So I became invested by accident. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. You know, I say that no disrespect to it because I really do enjoy it. But it's one of those things where like I look at it and I say to myself, wow, no, it was so long. I forgot how long I had been reading it and watching it. And by the time I was ready to like give up on it, I was like, I'm in too deep. I know too much and have too many questions that aren't answered to stop. Because if I stopped there and tried to come back later, there's no way I was ever going to catch up.
Wow.
That's how I feel about The Walking Dead. It was like such an integral part of my life for so long that even though like every episode just gets worse and worse, and now they're done and they're just spin-offs and they're just not good, I'm like, but it's Sunday night. I'm gonna go sit in front of the TV. Literally the only thing I watch on TV now.
I had to give up.
I
had to give up because I couldn't understand what was going to happen next. And I was just like, how are some of these people alive?
Plot armor
at some point
is
I have to go
serious.
back and catch up on Doctor Who because I stopped watching like, I don't know, 6 years ago, maybe more.
Who was your last Doctor?
The beginning of Peter Capaldi, and I could not take one more episode written by Stephen Moffat.
I understand that.
I can understand that.
The Capaldi era was a little rough.
I know, and I feel so bad because he spent his entire life like just wanting to be the Doctor. I feel so bad for him. I love him in like everything he's ever done, and I'm like, I'm sorry, the writing is just killing me.
No, I respect all the actors. I just know that the writing really, I think, hurt it for a lot of people. I struggled through the Capaldi era, and it was not fun. I can say that.
I'll go back at some point. Unlike some people on this stream, I was not the biggest fan of what's her face, the little one with the eyes that were too far set apart. Jenna something?
Jenna Coleman?
Jenna Coleman.
Yes.
Could not hack her as a companion.
She
so pretty.
Yeah, but I feel like
God,
they were
she looks
trying
like a goldfish with a brunette wig.
I feel like they tried to make her too much of another river.
Yeah.
And it Nothing against
Huh.
the actress herself,
Right,
but
right.
just she did not work for the purpose. I feel like there were other actresses. I feel like, or even they could have gone anywhere with a better companion. I feel like.
I never made that connection, but she basically is a river now. Because she's supposed to die, but got in her little ship, and she has her own TARDIS. So as long as she stays on or near the TARDIS, she can't die.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll give it a while longer before I go back.
You're like,
I never made that
another-
connection. No, she is a river,
Yeah, she's definitely a river.
but not as cool.
I mean, River dies.
But she gets to go out and have her own adventures and stuff. I actually think Clara's getting either books, not a TV show. I think audio dramas about her time
Clara,
with her
that's right.
TARDIS. I also
Did they
could
ever
not think
go
of her
back-
name.
Did they ever go back and deal with the one that was played by David Tennant's actual daughter? That's like the clone of him on that one planet, and then she hopped in a spaceship and zooms off.
No.
Yeah, because she's like basically another doctor running around, and nobody's ever circled back to that.
They did eventually circle back to the David Tennant that's from his own hand, but now it's a whole body. He lives with Bad Wolf Girl in her universe. Now there's also another David Tennant, but we can just ignore that.
Are you talking about the David Tennant? Are you talking about which David Tennant? The one that took down Neil Patrick Harris?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a thing.
That was weird. Pretty weird. However,
Yeah,
I do like that in his. I was watching some interview, and Shuri Gawa was like, so because he was Doctor Who before me, when we regenerated, I gave him first dibs on what part of the outfit he was gonna get, and he said, which I wasn't expecting, pretty much all of it, and that's why when Nshuri comes out, he's basically naked. I expected him to say like, oh, I get like the top half or the bottom half, and David Tennant was like, I get all of it. Like shows up in his underwear.
How could you not expect that from David Tennant?
Yeah.
It was either going to be that or like David Tennant got like a necktie.
Someone find him a quick bow tie from the bin.
I'm sure Matt Smith left one lying around at some point.
Probably dropped it while dancing during his Morbin time.
Matt Smith was actually my favorite.
Really?
Yeah, even though
so many people are diehard Tennant fans.
Yeah,
and he did a great job.
He did. He whined too much.
Okay, like a true fan.
Dude, the entire time he knows he's dying, he spends the entire last like 1 or 2 seasons just whining about not wanting to die. It's like, you're 1,000 years old. You literally do this every blink of the eye. Shut up.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yes.
You've done this.
Oh, I was right. Sorry, I looked up at the screen and I read the bottom because that's where the screen is. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure if you reduce the damage to 0, you can hit that person back, even at level 3. And our DM never didn't bring that up at all. And I was like, I mean, I'm not going to read Grimbo's sheet, but I'm pretty sure that's a thing you can do.
Maybe that's maybe your DM felt about this new version like we did.
when I was gonna say I'm not saying our DM was bad, what have you. I think he was just burnt out. I will say both him and the other DM at our table, when we were playing at the end, they were like, I feel like they didn't give us everything we needed to do, and the both of them were like, I mean, that's just Bald Man Games in a nutshell. Give you some, but not all. And I was like, I've not heard that before, but clearly they have more experience than me.
And he's an employee, I'm guessing, of Baldman Games?
I have no idea. The only one I'm pretty sure, like 90% sure, is an actual Baldman Games employee was OG. I just
Good old
feel
OG.
in my bones that he was a
first
real employee. Yeah.
He put the ball in Baldman Games. No offense to this guy. This guy's gonna send me an angry message. He's gonna be like, "I did. What of it?"
That dude was so chill. I would love to play with him. If he was running a game, I would have been like, can I just watch your table? Would have been so chill. But I think it's time we head on over to what we were supposed to talk about today, which is Primordial Runes by Liquid Pixie. So for those of you... Oh, I'm going to drop it in the chat. For those of you on YouTube, you can just check the description so you can follow along with us either during the stream or when it's a VOD. For those of you on Twitch, I'm going to throw it in the chat and pin it for the next 30 minutes. So even if you watch later in the VOD, it'll still be there if you're looking at the chat. One thing I do want to get out of the way for this, before we start it, is that I didn't change the music yet, but that will be changed. Don't worry. This is not related to Kalia's Chronicles of Runes, which I also am a huge fan of and had kickstarted. It is a different way to implement runes. So the first thing I have to talk about with this specifically is the way that, what are you guys, Apothecary Press? The way that Apothecary Press deals with runic languages is basically it's another school of magic. And because it's another school of magic, they have it set up so that only the classes that would most likely be speaking these languages have access to this kind of magic. So for this is the primordial spells, so a lot of elemental type things. They would only be accessible to sorcerers, warlocks, and wizards. And a lot of people had asked in the comments, like, why did you break it down like this? And the dude was mad because this is the last one, and I'm guessing people have been asking him every time he releases one of these, why do you break it down like this way? And he gave like this really snarky response about how this is just the way it's set up. It's like asking how come paladins are the only ones who have lay on hands. And I'm like, yeah, but your stuff isn't official, so most people have only seen one of them. Like me, I didn't look at any of the other ones. I only looked at Primordial. But basically, he wanted to separate it. They wanted to separate it into like, oh, just this class can learn these particular spells.
I think in having that limitation, it's kind of cool because you get to play around with why someone might be able to learn this. Like wizard, like I'm looking at the list of who can cast it. I noticed that they're saying it's limited to. Since we're getting into it anyway, I noticed that they're mentioning that it goes into both only sorcerers, wizards, and warlocks, like you said before. Sorcerers, okay, you come from primordial magic, you know, or elemental bloodline. Warlock, a patron where you're dealing with an elemental patron. And wizards, I mean, they're the stolen spellcasters of D&D because they're magic folk who don't have innate magic. So them learning a language makes a lot of sense. They're scholars of magic. So those three kind of make sense. Compare, I could see where someone maybe could argue like a druid, but at the same time, I've always thought of druids as looking to protect and not pervert the power of nature, whereas sorcerers and wizards want to utilize nature for destruction. Druids want to utilize it for preservation. Very similar, like in Dark Sun. where druids are just preservers, and everybody else is just a regular spellcaster.
Like that. Another limitation is that you're only supposed to select one runic language. The thumbnail for this video, if you're watching it on YouTube or you found it later on, the thumbnail for this video is actually using the Primordial runic font from Kalia's Chronicles, and I actually wrote out the names of all the spells in Primordial. So little fancy Easter egg there. But their rune spells work differently. So if you're going to add these to the game, you can keep them with this current limitation. But if you're going to use Kalia's Chronicles of Runes, then you'll probably have to come to some weird compromise sort of deal. And if you're also using the regular giant runes, wherein you basically just write something in like giant hieroglyphs and it has some power, which is closer to the Kalia's Chronicles of Runes implementation, you could probably also adapt these to other languages and stuff like that.
That's interesting. But you know what's not complicated to translate or comprehend? Subscribing and shifting your energies over to clicking buttons here on both YouTube, Twitch, and following the Patreon. Because that does not require any special classes. It's acceptable for players of all species and classes. But there's only one way you can do that, and I think DM Lacara is the best at saying it.
I think so too.
I think you already said it. Hit the buttons. If you have money, hit the buttons that give Okami money. If you don't have money, hit the buttons to like, subscribe, share, post. I don't know, bookmark, is that a thing? All the things that give you all the things that show activity and love for Okami's wonderful content here. Because those indirectly also give Okami money, so you get to feel good and give Okami money, which is why we're ultimately here.
Yeah.
Yay.
As we've told you, avoid the sludge dimension. Nobody needs to be there.
What sludge dimension?
The astral plane of sludge is no one's idea of a good time.
And
he stays away from it.
That's true. And for those of you on Twitch, I don't know if this is specifically for me or if it's everybody right now. I don't know how Twitch does. Apparently they make discounts for your channels now. So if you do a sub or gift a sub on my Twitch channel, I didn't set this up, so I don't know if this is open to everyone right now. But if you take a sub to my Twitch channel or you gift a sub to my Twitch channel, you get Discord Nitro for free for 3 months.
Oh, look at
Wow.
that.
That's actually a nice deal.
Yeah. So even more reasons to click buttons.
Mm-hmm.
And not wake up in your personal mini demi-plane of sludge.
It's true.
Hit the
Or
buttons.
Okami's demi-plane.
It's true.
I have a bone to pick with the runic languages.
Oh.
So.
It's annoying and pedantic, but
Please
I'm
share.
gonna say it anyway because I am annoying and pedantic. It says each runic language is related to a base language, but fluency in a written language does not equate to understanding its runes. Runes are far more complex and largely pictographic compared to the more alphabetized nature of each language's conventional written form. That makes no sense in any language I have ever seen or studied, which is not a few.
I think they're trying to be cool and be like, hey, we're like giant runes are officially, but we're cooler. But actually, we're not. We're the same.
I mean, just make it like magic symbols or something. A language cannot be both alphabetical and pictographic. That is a basic branch point in linguistics. Oh no, I broke Shin. I'm sorry,
No, you
Shin.
did. No, it's okay. I'm back. Whew. I had to take like several sips of my water. That it's true though. You're right on the nose what you're saying. It is very. I had to reread it, but you are correct. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I mean, I get saying just because you picked up Primordial along the way because of some interaction with like an elemental or something does not mean that you suddenly have access to this magic, and that totally tracks. Just make it like an ancient form or something, like most runes actually are older forms of modern languages.
Yeah.
And then the easiest way to describe this, if you're thinking of it, is the way that they have it here is, oh, well, I feel like this is a very obscure reference, but it is perfect. If you're into the Fate universe and what have you, where you summon a heroic spirit, so like someone in history, either made up or an actual historical figure, the things attributed to them like during their lifetime and how humans think of them now shapes them into their heroic spirit. So in the main story, the Lancer is Cuchulainn, who's like a famous Celtic hero. But in some of the other side stories, Cuchulainn gets summoned instead of as a Lancer, so where he's using Gaybolg, he gets summoned as the mage because he could also do magic. And when he casts a spell, he has a shillelagh, but he normally holds the shillelagh out so you're looking at it, and then he'll draw words out in the air or pictures. And if anyone touches them, they're invisible until you touch them. And basically, he's making wards in the air. Like, he'll draw a flame, and you'll touch it, and fire bursts out. Or he'll be like, he'll write on the floor, hole, and when you step there, the floor gives out. So that's kind of like what this idea is.
That's cool.
And you get cantrips. So the runic spells, there's spells of all levels in here. There's cantrips, and then this particular one goes up to 8th level.
Okay.
What's a bind rune? I guess, yeah, technically you could bind someone with them, for sure. I don't, in Primordial, I don't think there's anything that would do that. But in the other ones, I'm sure. What? Oh, I see what I did there. Oh, I know what's happening. I gotcha. We just want to make them as big as possible. So that's what we're going to do. They count as another school of magic. So if you were to use detect magic or identify or what have you, it would be like, oh, this is runology. Now that I think about that, I haven't looked at if Apothecary Press has a big thing for them. I guess runology does come up. Then would you just you have to know the language to be able to figure it out? Interesting. Just something to think about. I'm going to start with Air Ward. Alphabetically, it's the first cantrip here.
What does it do?
You can either hit someone with your weapon or hit them. If you fail, or if you don't strike, the spell fails. But on a hit, they get a glowing rune appears in the air before them. Should be them if you're doing it on someone else. But the first time the creature that was the target of your weapon attack deals damage to you before the... Oh, it is on you. Never mind. That's on me. I didn't read ahead. The first time the creature that was the target of your weapon attack deals damage to you before the start of your next turn, the rune flares up and detonates, firing off an arc of lightning. And then that creature takes 1d4 lightning damage. But why is it called Air Ward then?
There's a very interesting, I've noticed in like just TTRPGs and RPG systems of slapping. I get it. It's clouds. It comes from the sky. But they do have very different, like a cyclone and a lightning bolt don't fall in the same category. Like they're not even the same states. So it's like, it gets very confusing when they do that. I understand that you can't have a classification because technically, but it's not like ice and water spells.
You'd have to do
need
slashing
water to make ice.
You'd have to do slashing, but say it's magical specifically.
Yeah.
So I guess lightning made more sense. Or you could do thunder.
Also,
it's just air being
true,
pushed.
but that's the sound. Yeah, I guess. Just force, I feel like, is always good.
Force also works. You're just pushing them back. Lightning is an interesting choice. At least for a cantrip called Air Ward.
My only nitpick with it is that it notes that it fires off an arc of lightning. I get what they're saying. Why not just saying like a jolt of lightning?
Yeah.
Because an arc of lightning makes me think it's going to bounce a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And other spells, canonically, when they say an arc, it's definitely that it bounces off of whatever your target is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a nitpick, like I said.
But because of the cantrip, the damage of it increases as you go up. I mean, at 17th level, hitting someone for 4d4 lightning is pretty weak compared to the rest of them. But this is also, I guess you would be using this if you're muscle wizard, because you're gonna hit that guy first.
What is a muscle wizard?
You've never heard that trope when you build your wizard all strength muscle wizard?
I'm dealing in my campaign that in one of the campaigns I'm playing in right now. I'm dealing with a muscle sorcerer, which is essentially just a muscle wizard. But he wanted to be a dragonborn because he wanted to be a dragon. So when he did point buy, and he bought all his points in strength instead of charisma as a sorcerer. And he's like, well, I'm a dragon, so I should be strong. And in my head, I was like, oh, God, nobody stopped you. And so now he's like, I think I'm going to subclass. He's like, I think I'm going to multi-class into Paladin. And in my head, I'm like, smart, because you really aren't built to be a sorcerer. But he did it because he was like, he did it because he was like, well, I want to cast fire, but I'm a dragon, so I'm strong. And like, I didn't know as a player, as a DM, I would have stopped him. And I know that our DM is trying to help him correct it because he copied a character that he's played before over. At level into like a level 1 form, but I don't think he fully understood at the time he made his first character what he needs to build his class around versus what he should. Like, he could build his character to be a certain way and still be a dragonborn, but I think he thinks that as a dragonborn he's just a dragon. And I was like, no, you're not. I explained it to him last time. I was like, you're not a dragon, buddy. I was like, you're dragon adjacent.
Yes.
You're dragon-like. Yes. But you're not a dragon. And like the look on his face, like, huh? But I'm a dragonborn. I'm like, okay. I'm not gonna take away another person's goal. I just wanted to help him.
You do you, boo-boo.
But yeah, it's very it's going to be very scary when we start getting into higher level combat, and he's a sorcerer trying to run in because he's like, I want to get a short sword, and I'm like, oh no, please don't run in with a short sword.
No, let me explain to you. What you actually wanted to be was a warlock.
Yeah. Like, so you wanted to be a dragon blade, a dragonborn hexblade.
Yeah, that would have been doable.
He has to get I want to make words one day. I don't know what it's called because the spell is called Green Flame Blade, but there are swords. I forgot what, I have no idea what they're called. But there are swords that when you swing them, like a second iteration of the blade made of fire comes out, and it's not usually green. Sometimes it's blue instead of, I guess, to differentiate it from Green Flame Blade. That's what he needs, and then he can feel like a dragon. I have no idea what it's called though. I mean, also you could give him the Sunblade. Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna find that one. I think we're just a little dead. No.
But moving on. Oh, it is not in the order that I thought it was going to be in. It is in alphabetical order, but not by spell level.
Terrible idea. I saw it.
I was like, what do you mean? I was like, AEF, there we go. And then I scrolled down and I was like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right, so now we have Crystallize. This one is also from Primordial. All of these are from Primordial. But this one you need a component, a precious gem of a 1/4 inch diameter. This could be any gem. Usually, specifically when they say gem and it's a component, it's of a certain value, not of a certain size. But this is good. This means it doesn't go away.
Do note this is a 6th level spell, too. Which is
pretty beefy.
Kind of strong. Yeah. What does it do?
You touch one creature, causing their skin to become encrusted in crystalline materials. So basically, you're making all those crystal enemies from the Soulsborne games. Awesome. Creature is restrained, and at the start of each of its turns, it has to succeed on a strength saving throw or become Strength, not Constitution. Okay, that's an interesting choice. If the creature succeeds on 5 of these saving throw, it just keeps going. Oh, that's a very weird way to do it. But if they succeed on 5 of them, the spell fails. Creature's no longer restrained. Does that mean? Oh, so they're just stuck restrained until they get this 5 times? That's a very weird way.
Until they succeed 5 times. So if you're lucky, you do it in your in the first 5 turns of being turned or crystallized. If you're unlucky, you just roll until you don't anymore.
Well,
it's not 5 successive, which is good.
No.
If they become petrified, so you can unpetrify yourself through strength alone? That's
flex out of that.
No, this is muscle. This is how Muscle Wizard trains. He casts it on himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he casts it on himself, and he's just like, "Hey, you guys want to watch what I can do?" He just flexes his way out of some crystallization. I think this is completely normal.
Earth to Dust. Yeah, Earth to Dust is next. This is an 8th level. Okay, so far, Crystallize is too complicated. I'm not going to give this to my players, regardless of whether it's Runology or not. This is too most of my players.
Earth to Dust is worse.
Not gonna lie, I just read it too. Runology's not looking like the degree I should have gone to school for. It's just not something about Runology is just not doing it for me right now.
This is like if philosophers had magic.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many ifs and except fors. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Earth to Dust. Looks like a self range. You crumble a piece of chalk in your hands, tracing a dusty outline of a rune in the air with your chalky fingers. Okay. All right. But why not you write in the air the rune and the chalk turns to dust?
I was thinking that too. Like, chalk's not expensive, even in this world. Like, if it was an item that gets consumed, That would be so cool because but I get it, because if that was the case, then all of them would have the same material component.
I get it. Okay. The earth around you within a 5 foot and within a radius of 5 feet vanishes, and all creatures in the area that do not fly or levitate immediately fall into the ethereal plane in the direction of the negative plane. Huh?
He's making a lot of assumptions based on how your world runs.
Mm-hmm.
You also gain levitation until the end of your turn. The effect doesn't end at your turn. The effect ends at the end of your turn, at which all affected creatures must make an intelligence saving throw. On a successful save, they take 68 force damage as they are shunted back to the material plane. On a failed save, they remain in the ethereal plane. Okay. All right. Let's just talk
That's
about
pretty
this
complicated.
quickly. Yeah. Because there is a player. There's always the player. You see it all the time if you're on any social media platforms or scroll the internet for more than 5 seconds for D&D memes of the wizard looking at a tiny room and being like, I cast Fireball. This is worse Fireball because if you have any party members near you, they also have a chance to get shunted into the ethereal plane.
Yeah. Most people don't have the ability to deal with that, even in D&D.
Yeah. And 68
Irma
damage
Ghost.
is a significant amount. It's not a ton of damage by the time you get 8th level spells. Like, even I think a wizard could be able to survive it if their rolls are somewhat acceptable.
Yeah.
But, or, you know, if you get all the temp HP of slapping Steve on your chest. But I don't.
Thank you for bringing that back.
No, I can't forget it. I can't forget it. It's permanently locked in there.
I think the part where they say you gain levitation, that's just because even though it's only, I think it's mentioned once in the DMG, if a creature's stat block says they can levitate, basically it means they can't fall if they're in the sky.
Right.
So they're just using it for that purpose for you.
But also, that's just, I don't know.
I think that's potentially worse than banishment. Not in like a what's worse for your mind state or what have you, but like the idea that you're basically making someone a ghost if they fail. And most creatures have no way to unghost. Like, they're stuck. Like Danny Phantom, stuck as a ghost.
Oh, but trust and believe, if you kill a fellow PC with this, I'm absolutely giving that, like, whoever died to this spell on our team, I'm absolutely giving them the chance later on when your character's ghost gets sent back from the negative plane. They've got a vengeance.
Oh, hell yeah. You're making banshees and stuff out of everyone you kill. Oh,
you trap the undead cleric in the negative plane? Good luck. Really good luck. Oh, you trapped the undead warlock in the negative plane? That was a terrible idea. Because he's coming back. And he's more powerful than ever.
I'm angry.
yeah,
very angry.
Air Ward, I think I would be okay with if we changed it to Force or Thunder. But so far, Crystallize and Earth to Dust, I don't think I'm gonna add those to the repository.
I haven't been wooed yet.
Yep.
Not gonna lie.
It's true.
We got some Earth Ward coming up, though.
Why don't you read this one, DM Lacara? Or give us your I'm gonna make words one day. What is wrong with me? This is real bad.
Earthward?
Yeah.
Let's see. This one's a cantrip. That can't be too bad, right? One
So far, so
action,
good.
range stealth. As part of the action used to cast this spell, you must make a weapon attack or unarmed strike, otherwise the spell fails. Okay, so it seems like these are all like built along the same lines. On a hit, a glowing rune appears in the air before you. The first time the creature that was the target of your weapon attack deals damage to you before the start of your next turn, the rune flares up and detonates, sending tendrils of rock up from the ground to grasp at the creature's feet. They have to make a strength saving throw or become grappled until the end of your next turn.
I hear it in your voice. I gotta know it. Where did it hit you? When did it hit you that this doesn't make sense?
I just realized you're making the wards, and they only activate against one specific person. Why?
Erupting Earth is so much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This doesn't even make you restrained. It's just grappled.
So you hit someone, and a rune... Okay, so you hit someone. You have to hit them. Then a rune appears in the air. And then if they try to hit you back, they're grappled, which doesn't stop them from hitting you.
No.
But does lock them into being in melee range of you until the end of your next turn. What is the benefit of this?
The only thing I can think of is this is
like I said, I knew there was some like confusion. I heard the audacity in your voice when you were like, as you read the last few lines, I was like, DM Lacara's got some shit to say, and I'm for it. Whatever it is, I know it's about to be something.
I'm really straining to try to figure out if this was something that restrained them, if this was a bonus action, and you could do this, but you could only cast it as a cantrip immediately before an unarmed or armed attack, that would make sense. Maybe you have a displacer beast or something, like you're fighting something that blips around too much, so you grapple it and then hit it. That would make sense. This, I cannot see the benefit of locking something in after it's already attacked you once to be in range of it continuing attacking you.
I'm just thinking, like, maybe it's because we watched Grimbo made me watch the Dark Knight Returns Part 1. You're like, oh, it's just the greatest story ever. Like, I haven't seen Batman fight a mutant in the mud before, but in it, like when the tide turns in the battle, like the dude's holding Batman, and Batman just headbutts him, and I'm like, that's the only scenario when you're a muscle wizard and someone doesn't know yet, they haven't seen your rippling muscles, and they go to strike at you, and they get stuck in place from their feet, and you just headbutt them to be like, oh, intimidation. Like, why?
You're a muscle wizard that wears a really thick cloak.
Yeah.
You just like to wear the baggiest cloak they could make you. And everyone's like, oh, he just wears baggy clothes. And like you throw them off. It's like, oh, wait, no, he's just swole. Oh, we've made a mistake.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Muscle Wizard casts Fist.
Yeah, I would definitely be like, I cast Fist. It's like, that's not a spell. I know, but I think it is because I just punch people with my fist. Like, huh?
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's see if Fire to Ash does better. This one's 3rd level.
You need a burning torch. So you can cast it at any point in time. Realistically speaking, you can always cast it. Unless everybody in your party has dark vision, somebody should have a torch. There should be some form of fire, I imagine. But once again, you trace a rune in the air with the torch, then extinguish the flame. All other flames within 30 feet are extinguished and cannot be relit until the spell ends. For the spell's duration, the effects of fire are dampened for 30 feet. And anytime an attack, spell, or ability will cause fire, in the effect, the damage is reduced by an amount equal to your spellcasting modifier. This is 3rd level? You snuff out flames and get resistance?
You get shittier resistance.
Yeah, it's not even. I mean, at like if you get a 3rd level spell, what's your spellcasting modifier? Probably 5.
Yeah, but you have Fireball.
Yeah. And also, you have to put the torch out, so now you can't see. Now no one can see.
Yeah,
also,
it's just
at higher levels,
this is worse darkness.
Yeah, at higher levels, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, the reduction to fire damage increases by an additional amount equal to your spellcasting modifier for every 2 slots. So that is just a very weird way to double your spellcasting modifier. It exponentially gets bigger. That is a very weird way to write it. I had to stare at that for a while before I figured it out. Because that's how it starts. It is amount equal to your spellcasting modifier. So it should be twice or 3 times or what have you.
So I'm stuffing out all the fire in the room by extinguishing my torch. Doesn't produce flame do the same thing as a can? Like, yeah.
It's exactly what I was thinking.
I fail to see where this does anything useful.
Yeah.
At least if they said you get resistance, I was like, oh, maybe you're fighting a dragon that has fire breath. You'd be like, okay, I'll give myself and like my team resistance to fire. No.
This is a level 1 spell.
Yeah, if the damage was reduced by an amount equal to like some factor of your level, that would be better.
Mm-hmm. But this is a level 1 spell, in all honesty. Because you're gonna have you're gonna have protection from by now.
Oh, also that. Uh-huh.
Like your cleric in a party will have protection from anyone. There's just so much by the time you're at 3rd level spells that you could do that is so much better than snuffing out than getting not so great magical darkness or non-magical darkness. Because you turn out all the torches, everyone's dark vision turns on. Congratulations. Now you can't see, and the enemy's just like, so why'd that guy snuff out all the torches before you came in here?
Listen, okay. If someone in your game wants the ability to snuff out torches that are near them, just give them the frickin' lighter from Harry Potter, where you open it up and it sucks up the closest light. Just give them that. Just give them that item.
I'd rather that.
Give them pyrotechnics. It cuts both ways.
True.
Once again.
Yee. Okay, Fire Dash definitely also not going in the repository. Oh, a ward for fire now. Let's go to Fire Ward. Who wants to take this one?
I don't have a good feeling about this.
I don't either.
Already dreaded.
Tell us about it, DM Shin.
Well, if you didn't know, at a good old level 0, aka cantrip, it's part of the action used to cast this spell. You once again have to make a weapon or unarmed strike, otherwise the spell fails. And on a hit, once again, a glowing rune appears in the air before you. And the first time a creature that was the target of your weapon attack deals damage to you before the start of your next turn, it flares up, detonates. They make a dexterity saving throw and get set ablaze. They said, set alight, but set ablaze for anyone else. It's taking 1d6 fire damage at the start of each of its turns, and they may repeat their saving throw at the end of each turn.
Oh, so until they succeed, they're just on fire? Honestly, that could be kind of funny. Not gonna lie.
It could, but I think like with Air and Earth Ward, there's an onus on my wizard or sorcerer walking up and slapping somebody.
Yeah.
to force something to make a dex save, which most monsters have in droves.
And this one doesn't have... It doesn't get better as you level up. This is the one that makes sense to get better as you level up.
Isn't there already a spell called Fire Ward?
Let's find out! No. There's a Blade Ward for sure.
Mm. Okay, never mind.
Interesting.
This one I think is better.
But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised.
It
works.
This one I think is fine because it's like a built-in Hellish Rebuke for when you're already fighting someone. I would personally do the at level 5 it gets more powerful, at level 11 it gets more powerful, blah 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 thing that like Air Ward has. I think it's weird that Air Ward has it but Fire Ward doesn't. Because I don't want to be level 17 if I'm still trying to punch this guy in the face suddenly. Well, it wouldn't be suddenly if I made it to 17. But like if I'm punching this guy in the face and it's endgame and I'm only doing a D6 damage when he hits me back, like ooh, no.
Maybe he'll redeem himself on the next set of spells. Let's see what else we got. Fire Ward's probably the only one I think of all the spells we've seen on the first page that has, like you said, any redeemable quality. But it still falls in that horrible category of get close to me. So let me hit you with a non-melee with a melee attack that I shouldn't be good at, so I can cast a spell.
Oh. Would you like to take Ice Heart, DM Lacara?
Sure. That's something I've been accused of. You inhale salt water. That's not a great start. Who are you casting this on? It does say range self.
Someone you don't like.
Turning it to briny ice, which coats your insides and places your heart in a state of stasis. You actually are casting this on yourself.
And it's any amount of salt water, so you can just be like, I'm done.
For the spell's duration, you cannot be killed by dropping to 0 hit points, except in cases where you would be killed by massive damage.
I've never heard anyone refer to it as massive damage before, because that's one of the things. Is that Halo? It's not Halo. It's one of the shooters, though. But they'll be like, massive damage!
If somebody drops a boulder on you, like Wile E. Coyote. Additionally, once you drop to 0 hit points while the spell's duration is active, why would you not just say during the spell's duration?
Yeah.
Okay. You no longer make death saving throws and are instead in a state of frozen stasis indefinitely until you receive healing from a spell.
You know, I had hope going to the second page.
Wait. So I'm just petrified on the battlefield now?
Wait. So, if you receive healing from a spell, then what happens? Does the spell end, or does it just revive you? Also, what does the duration mean? I guess you have the ability to do this for the hour? I have so many questions.
Yeah, it seems like if this happens while you're... Yeah, during that hour. This is like a really... Okay, I don't know why I'm saving this. Like trying to be nice. There's like a really shitty take on being a barbarian.
Yeah, but like I don't know what party is just like, oh man, we're about to die. Let me slap myself in a block of ice.
And hope that somebody doesn't. Like do anything with you.
I immediately thought
Yeah.
of like in Mortal Kombat when Sub-Zero does a fatality and he freezes you over and then he like punches through your spine. But that's all I can think of. Like, I don't want to be stuck there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just a bigger target now. I'm dead and also a bigger target.
Yeah.
And
No,
you're
please
right.
no.
There's no description of what happens if you're in this state when the duration runs out.
Mm-mm.
Do you start making death saves? Do you just do
Do
you
my insides just thaw?
your inside thaw? I immediately thought if you're in this state when the hour runs out, you just ragdoll like your old video game. Like legs and arms everywhere. You hit the floor.
Oh my god. But also, I dare a player to do this where there's like a gargantuan enemy in the field. They are absolutely either using you as a projectile weapon, using you as a melee weapon, or dropping you in a cold drink.
Or you did it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't. At 5th level.
Yeah, this is a 5th level spell. Okay, Ice Heart's not making it into the repository either.
O'Connor, would you like to tell us what a lightning knife does?
Sure. This is a 1st level spell, so not a cantrip. I'm hoping this works like Ice Knife, but based on the rest of the stuff that's been here, I'm scared. You imbue the air around your hand with energy, turning it into a blade of crackling lightning. Okay, if these are all runes, why don't I like write on my hand lightning or draw a picture of a thundercloud or something? But whatever, that's neither here nor there. For the spell's duration, your unarmed strikes deal lightning damage equal to 1d8 plus your spell casting bonus. Okay, it's not like Ice
Where's
Knife.
the knife?
At higher levels, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 3rd or higher, a second blade appears in your other hand, and you are able to make 2 unarmed strikes per attack action. When you cast this spell using a spell slot of... This is too complicated, bro. Where's the knife? It should have been...
Where's the first blade?
It should have been... There's lightning on my hand. Now my attacks deal extra lightning damage. Or, alternatively, I can shoot it in a straight line, it hits someone, and then arcs to someone else. That would make the most sense because there's already a spell called Ice Knife, and that's what Ice Knife does.
So you get Chidori.
Yeah, basically.
And you become depressed that your clan is dead. And at higher levels, you can be so mad that you can now use 2 hands. And even higher than that, you get more... Okay, no. And it only lasts 30 seconds. Okay. I don't think I have anything else to say. So I
Cool concept, I guess. Okay. Again, like, it's... I just want to stress something. I'm not saying that every player you play with is stupid. I'm just saying that the more complicated you make a spell, the less likely someone is to use it.
The more
1000%.
time you have to spend reading your spell effects, the less immersed in the world you are.
100%.
1000%. It's okay. We might have some chance here, guys, because we have up next Molten Cone, a 2nd level spell. You touch the ground in front of you, imbuing it with earth and fire. Turn into a cone of molten rock. Creatures in a 20-foot cone take 2d6 fire damage and must save a dex throw to be knocked prone and take an additional 2d6. When cast at a 3rd level spell slot or higher, additional damage suffered from falling increases by 2d6 for each slot level above 2nd. So, extra burny hands.
Yeah. Why 20-foot cone? It's usually 15 or 30 that dies.
Sorry, I hear molten cone and I start thinking dessert.
I was
Yeah,
all I
sounds
thought
like
of.
that sounds like something at your local ice cream place. It's like a molten cone.
All I thought of
yeah.
was you can be Bolin from Legend of Korra, and then I read it and I was like, you can be shittier Bolin. The damage increase is only on if they fail the save. So you get no extra bonus for casting it at a higher level if they pass the save. It's just wasted completely.
Yeah, that I did not catch that on first reading. That seems weird.
Neither did I.
You're the worst lava bender ever.
Yeah, no way. If I had this spell in my campaign through, I don't know, a lobotomy or something, this would definitely be hot fudge.
I now have ice cream magic.
Yeah.
Sorry, Apothecary Press. You haven't really wooed us yet.
I think we need to brew something better.
Wait a minute. Oh, for a second there, I thought there was no description of ooze shell. It was just ooze shell. This is what it does.
No, this is
also
just
sounds
really...
like dessert.
Oh yeah. Hey, would you like an ooze shell or a molten cone?
Yeah, we need to open an ice cream shop for real. Actually, Grimbo always asks, like, "Oh, what's our fast food restaurant chains like in our world?" Ooze shell and molten cone sound pretty good for dessert.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Make an ice cream joint called like Cheeries or something like that.
Yeah, it has to have some very like upbeat name. Absolutely has to be built into those upbeat names.
Would you like to take ooze shell, DM Lacara?
Sure. Upon being targeted by a melee weapon attack, you create an ooze-like coating around you that absorbs damage and can even destroy the weapon you are attacked with. You roll a d20, add your spellcasting mod, ignore an amount of incoming damage equal to the resultant number. In one hit or multiple hits. Additionally, if this blocks all the incoming damage then the weapon is dissolved in the ooze coating and its wielder is disarmed. You count as having vulnerability to any damage remaining after the mitigation. Wait.
I'm sorry, you read
There's
that.
three things here. What? And huh?
So it's a reaction. You need some mud. It's instant. And you get an ooze coating. Okay, the ooze coating that can absorb damage and destroy a weapon is cool.
You roll that d20.
Adding yours.
Oh,
ignore
plus your
the amount of
spellcasting mod.
incoming. Ignore the damage equal to the resultant of the number. The resultant number. I wish they would pick one way to say things and just stick to it.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going way too hard to sound extremely educated and like they have a wide vernacular, and it's just failing them at every turn.
Y'all could chill.
And ignore an incoming amount of damage equal to the resultant number. Okay, fine. But now
what they should have done was flip the next two sentences.
They're now saying though. So if the damage becomes 0, the weapon disappears.
Yep. Okay. Any weapon. Doesn't say whether if it's magic or not, anything. If you can mitigate, we'll say 25. If someone's going to hit you for less than 25 damage on a strike and you mitigate it, that guy's weapon's has a chance to be gone forever. Immediately. Everyone in the world would be using this. But the last sentence, you count as having vulnerability to any damage remaining. So whatever you don't mitigate is now doubled. So what did you mitigate?
So you avoided one set of damage. But this also doesn't account for the fact that, like, if they're using multiple attacks, you absorb the first one and then get bloodily beaten the hell out of for the remaining attacks?
I guess you can only do it towards one attack, so you'd have to take one. Or... it doesn't say you can choose. You're right. You have to take the first attack. Well, I guess whichever one connects first is what you're taking. Well, I guess you have to tell the DM, like, oh, I'm gonna take that first hit. That hurt a lot. I'm gonna react now on this second hit. So you probably want to do the first just in case you eat the weapon. I was just thinking when they said ooze shield and that you're coated in it. Most oozes are acidic, so you would also be being dissolved, would you not? Like, you never seen a gelatinous cube? That's kind of their whole shtick.
No, it's one way. It's one way dissolve. No.
Yikes.
No.
Okay, no. This is just again, once you get into we talked about this with the empowered and stuff. Like once you get into the idea that you can just break anyone else's weapon, you're not playing D&D anymore. You're probably not even playing Pathfinder. You're playing an entirely different game, and it's all about just breaking everyone else's weapons.
Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't note that it has any resistance or that magical weapons don't get dissolved. So this means any weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So if you absorb all the damage for like a +5 sword by just the raw chance that they hit a nat 1 and you hit a nat 20 somehow, you just absorb and destroy a +5 sword?
Mm-hmm.
Nah.
Oh my god, guys, it gets so much worse.
Oh no. What have you read ahead?
Well, I read the cleric show. I read the cleric and a half spell already.
Cleric and a half.
In fact, I'll take
this
one. I'll take this one.
Do it.
Radiant Shield, 2nd level runology. That's a bonus action. Once again, casting on yourself, you create a radiant fire. You coat yourself in a radiant fire, creating a physical barrier. For the spell's duration, your armor class is increased by 1, and when you are hit by melee weapon attack, the creature who attacked you suffers radiant damage equal to your spellcasting modifier. You coat yourself in radiant fire. You get +1 AC.
Why isn't this a cantrip?
And they suffer potentially like what? Second level was at level 3. What was your PB like? Was it 3 at that point? 2?
Yeah, 2, 3.
2 or 3?
This one should be a cantrip for sure, if anything.
No, this is a spell. This is once again a waste of spell.
That's not the one I was talking about.
So many other things you could do here.
Oh no!
I
hope it's
salt
not
burn. All right. Would you like to take salt burn? You can comport yourself.
I feel like
I'm not sure you can read it.
Okabe, you take this one. We'll leave smoke blue.
I read this one before because I only know this. My eyes skimmed across it, and all I could think of was Krieg from Borderlands.
Oh my god. Okay. When an enemy within range is wounded, You can fill the wound with salt to further harm them. My bard is in the background already cringing. If an enemy you can see within range is hit by an attack that deals either slashing or piercing damage, you may add an extra 2 of the weapon's damage dice to the damage roll. Mind you, folks, this is a first level spell. The extra damage counts as magical, though the weapon's original damage does not. They have dropped all pretense of this having anything to do with runes at this point.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is just
But also,
salting wounds.
yeah. But also, like, why is this a spell? Why is this not just a guy with a pocket full of salt? Just like, oh, you got a wound. Like, I would imagine as close range as this guy is, he's like looking at people. He like grabs your arms, like, nice wound there, bro.
Yeah.
Just slaps a packet of salt in your wound and just walks away.
Strip the flesh, salt the wounds.
This is like evil Jimmy Buffett.
It really is.
What is this spell?
Man, but
when
just
I read
like...
the name, I thought of the movie. I'm not gonna lie, I got scared.
Just like for a first level spell, imagine your barbarian is hacking someone up and they have a great axe. So at max, they're doing 12 damage. First level, all of a sudden, now some enemies... You're obliterating that poor goblin with a potential extra 24 damage at first level. Just obliterating. Later on, obviously, it's not going to deal as much damage. Because this doesn't specify whether if your weapon has some extra attack on it. Like if it's a fire arrow or if it's one of those swords that deals the extra elemental damage afterwards. It doesn't say anything about that. So it's at the beginning you're obliterating, but after that it's gonna drop right off.
Well, here's the thing: you slap salt in somebody's wound and then you turn to a block of ice.
I'm telling you, between this and the dessert things, we could start an entire fantasy restaurant based on this spell series.
We can bring back friendlies in D&D with this menu right here.
Whew. All right. Smoke plume. You're a 3rd level. You need a nugget of charcoal. I don't know.
Nugget?
I don't think I've ever heard of nugget of charcoal before, but
are we just referring to a piece of charcoal?
I think so. This is a 3rd level. I'm scared. Hey, a monkey time. A brief conflagration appears in a circle beneath you, vaporizing the surrounding air and turning it to roiling smoke. The area in a cylinder around the caster with a radius of 10 feet and a height of 30 feet fills with smoke and becomes heavily obscured, even to creatures with dark vision. Additionally, any creature that starts its turn in the area or enters it for the first time must make a Constitution save. The creature takes 2d6 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one, and is blinded. Additionally, a creature inside the area when the spell is cast becomes disoriented and must succeed on a wisdom save or be unable to move. The creature may repeat this saving throw at the start of each of its turns. The caster is immune to all of the spell's effects. Does it follow you?
I'm trying to figure this out.
Or does it just pop up there and you gotta like you lure people in? I don't.
In a circle beneath you, vaporizing the surrounding air. The geometry in this spell list makes my head hurt.
Oh, don't even... If you're not fighting in a 4x4 room, good luck.
But 4x4, I feel like you've got to be in 4 dimensions. I mean, you have to have cast... What was the first thing that made the Earth drop away from you?
Oh, that's
first
right. Into the negative
ethereal
plane. You're right.
Yeah.
Gotta play 4. You're right. We have to play 4. But also, once again, what is this? Do you know what else could cause this effect? Lighting a fire in a room. This is smoke inhalation, the spell.
I cast smoke inhalation.
I cast black lung. Welcome to the coal revolution. Back to the mines. Like what? So you become an 18th century Victorian chimney sweep after they've gotten rid of the use of their chimneys, and you're out of a job, and you're retired, and now you're dying slowly inside. Okay,
You
now
just cough on people, and clouds
Mhm.
of coal smoke come out.
This is a rough supplement.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it
I
don't
was
get
gonna
better.
say, based on how well this was going, maybe I'd look at the other Runic packs, and now I'm like, I think I'll skip them.
Are they also by Apothecary Press?
Yeah.
I think they need to homebrew something better.
I think
I
there's
really
one more
do.
page. Yep. There's
There
still
is.
more.
There's 3 more spells, which means we each get 1 more shot at hurting our heads. I'll
Do
take
you
Stream
guys
Jet
think
on this one.
Apothecary Press can redeem themselves?
No. No. Because I just read the start of this. Let me inform you guys. Once again, another self range. All these spells are ranged at yourself. Which defeats the purpose of a lot of magic casting, but a globe of water forms in the air before you, which you instantly vaporize with a blast of flame, sending scalding steam forward in a line 60 feet long and 10 feet wide. Each creature in the line makes a dex save. A creature takes 8d8 fire damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful, and it ignores resistance to fire. Now, when cast at, this is a 4th level spell, and when cast at 5th level or higher, the dimensions increase. At 5th level or higher, you gain an extra 30 feet. It goes to 90 feet long and 15 feet wide. At 6th level, this now becomes 120 feet long and 20 feet wide.
Oh my god, they wrote
And you
out
can
each one.
cast this at 7th level or higher, but the damage only increases by 1d8 for each slot above 6th.
Sorry, I tuned out when this started sounding like a pre-calc problem.
Yeah, why did you write out so many of them?
So basically, you boil water and grab the kettle off the stove at the peak whistle and open
chuck it at
the
someone.
mouth. And no, you don't even chuck it at someone. You just blast the steam as it's firing out at their face. I'm just imagining you have a kettle of water in front of you and you just got a fire under your hand. He's like, good luck as you walk forward.
And you're right. What happened to the runes? Where did the runes go?
The runes disappeared on page 2.
Yeah, I want to know why someone needs to understand a dead hidden language to be able to boil water and make ice cream and throw salt. You sound like a 4-year-old.
To make ice cream.
Is this first magic?
I learned Latin so I could make ice cream.
I mean, to be fair, I think we could come up with a really, really great world about like orphans of chimney sweeps from the Victorian era that have these abilities.
I'm crying.
And they get paid in ice cream.
One of those things like a Magic Girl thing where like they were so poor and all they wanted was ice cream, and their piteous living situation like was so strong that it gave them magical powers.
Quite honestly, I'm not gonna lie, you could reflavor all this to be like Victorian orphan magic. just useful skills to keep the lord or lady in waiting happy. Let me boil your tea for you, sir.
Yep.
Stream Jet. Because wait, DM Lacara, you get the next one. This is how I know it doubles down into. Please, you get to read
Exactly.
vacuum.
Here you go. Here's your house cleaning. You need an empty glass jar.
What?
You
To
trace a rune.
collect the
Oh,
dust
the runes came back. The runes
Oh,
are back.
thank you.
It's all right.
in the last moment.
You trace a rune into the lid of an empty glass jar, which drains it of air, then smash the jar on the ground. For the spell's duration, any creature within 5 feet of you immediately begins to suffocate. Wait a minute. If they have to be within 5 feet of you, that means you too. If a creature is able to get out of this range, it's 5 feet. They take a step. The suffocation ends. However, it will immediately begin suffocating again if it's dumb enough to come back within 5 feet of you. You are immune. Oh, no, you are immune to the effects of the spell for its duration. Okay. So if somebody stands there, you to be doing obvious magic around them. Still
They
standing.
just start suffocating.
I'm gonna look up the official rules for suffocation.
Maybe you cast Earth Ward first, so they're grappled in place.
Oh yeah. Hey, good luck getting away. And then when they're suffocating, you drop them into a pit of the negative plane. There you go.
Oh, you have to choke them. They have to be choked. So suffocation is what I originally thought. I thought you used those rules for drowning, but drowning has its own things where you just like. But this is suffocation with exhaustion. So what do you have to get them up to 5 where they can't move? You have to choke them 5 times. Just use your hands at this point.
You have to
take him to a backyard with a passing train.
But you know what?
Use your hands. Choke the man.
Use those baby hands.
The only time that I can see this working is if you use something like the supplement we went over last time with the tiny swarms of like the Fae.
Oh my, yes.
Like this is how you deal with the, what was it, the Wandering Circus or whatever? That's how you deal with them.
This is all their spells. These are all their spells. Only way. But I also feel like the broken glass is more dangerous than the suffocation. Like now there's also broken glass on the floor.
You have to walk one step away.
Yeah. There's broken glass on the floor. You start suffocating. Nothing says you're stuck here. You just have to go, oh, I can breathe again.
Also, they begin to suffocate, meaning that if we're taking it rules as written, if you're beginning to suffocate, that means you have to start holding your breath. Not that you're suffering from suffocation. So you have to do this. How long does he say? This says it lasts for a minute. So if you're holding your breath is 1 minute plus whatever your Constitution modifier is, even if you have 0, no one is going down. Rules as written this way. Everyone has at least 1 minute of air to hold. So basically, you shatter this glass, you look at all the people around you, and everyone's got their cheeks puffed up like they're holding their breath. And they're just waiting you out.
Oh my god.
This is officially the worst one on the list, for sure. This is the worst one. Vacuum is useless as written.
It's just got some interesting stuff. Go ahead, Okami. Close us up with this water ward, please.
Last one is water ward. This is another cantrip. It's part of the attack action. As part of the action used to cast this spell, you must make a weapon attack or an armed strike, otherwise the spell fails. So the same as the other 3 awards. On a hit, a glowing rune appears in the air before you. The first time the creature that was the target of your weapon attack, except they just told us it could also be unarmed strike. I just realized that. Whatever. Should say the target of your attack deals damage to you before the start of your next turn. The rune flares up and detonates, coating the creature in icy liquid. The creature's movement speed is reduced by half, and its climbing and flying speed is reduced to 0 until the end of its turn.
Yep.
This is the first one that's not bad. But also,
works
why is
as a
climbing and
cantrip.
flying speed 0 on the ice one and not on the earth one, where the earth one is literally holding you down?
I don't even know.
I'm gonna be honest. I wanted to say this till we got to the last one to see just in case. This seems like someone tried to fix the 4 elements monk and got lost in the way.
They didn't know the way of the 4 elements.
They really did not.
But
Like, if you made all this effects based on keep points for 4 elements monk, I'd be like, all right, whatever.
Mhm.
You could have even made like the tea house monk and given them all this stuff.
yeah, boiling water, cleaning up.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
Because I'm also just imagining running a campaign and my player being like, I'd like to buy 10 empty glass jars. And I'd be like, they have none.
No, you cannot.
I can't get past.
Because just imagine, like, you're trying to sneak, you're fighting people in like a safe area. You're like, oh, I know how to take these guys out. You drop in the middle of them in stealth and you just break a glass jar. Suffocate! And they're just like, oh, the air around here feels weird. Walks away. Ow, I stepped in glass. Good thing it doesn't do any damage.
Oh, man.
This one should be Ice Ward also, not water.
No. It's probably made from the same salty ice water that freezes your insides and puts salt in your friend's wounds.
Yeah, that's true. When the water happens, can't you just be like, you're just sucking water off this guy's body now?
Cool.
That's how you. That's your swell synergy.
All right. I gotta go.
I think it's pretty safe to say probably not gonna use most of the stuff in here.
I'm not using it. I'm not using any of this. I think, quite honestly, of all the things we've ever reviewed on the roundtable, this is probably the first time I would say this is an absolute failure. And I don't mean that to be mean. This just needs a lot of revision and love.
Yeah, like this is the first time that I definitely feel like we looked at something and we were all like exceptionally negative about it.
Yeah.
I'm writing down, if we're gonna get merch, I think we need to get jerseys that say Victorian Orphan School of Magic.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of people casting these spells, but in their true form. So, like, vacuum, it's like you cast vacuum, but then you just see another orphan, like, cleaning up the glass. He's like, I wish you'd stop breaking glass jars around the house. Just another one popping out the chimney. It's a plume of smoke, all his friends. The plume of smoke at 3rd level does more damage than the broken glass jar at 2nd.
Victorian Orphan Magic.
Victorian Orphan Magic.
It's gonna be a shirt.
That is absolutely a shirt. I bet you Steve knows Victorian Orphan Magic.
Are mason jars Victorian style? No, that's too late. I was gonna say that's the design behind the words Victorian Orphan Magic, and it's just like a mason jar.
I'd love that.
It's gonna be
hilarious.
like a little kettle and a pile of salt.
Yeah, that has to be a kettle.
Yes. It's a kettle of pile of salt, and what do we need? Some mud at some point, I think. Oh
yeah,
no,
we need a disc of mud.
Torch.
Or no, a nugget of charcoal. That is not.
Yeah, you need to have a nugget. Well, yeah, because you're a chimney sweep.
Nugget. I've never heard anyone say a nugget of charcoal before.
I am taking notes. I am designing these shirts.
Oh, I need this. I need this in my life. I really do. Yeah, there's nothing. Again, I think this is cool for like a non-dangerous campaign, like a campaign where the most people are dealing with is like everyday enemies like goblins. Like you don't go past maybe like an orc raider party. Sure, this is fine. You know what I mean? This is what you give to the commoner background. Because the commoner background wizard who is just a regular guy who was maybe in like maintenance, this is what he has as magic.
Yep.
I apologize, Apothecary Press, if you ever watch this.
Yeah.
But I think this is not going anywhere close to any of my campaigns.
Yeah. But to answer your question, Monkey Time, actually, I can just go right into this for that. So at the end of all these episodes, we run a poll that runs for the next 24 hours between us, but there is also a community vote portion. You guys also have a vote, and it decides what next week's topic is going to be. So I'm going to throw in the poll options for this week right before I throw them in our chat. But if you want items to be next week, that is totally an option. I'm trying to find a link without... Obviously, I'm running my browser here, so I don't want to like open up all my YouTube crap and stream it, so I'm trying to go on my phone to get links. But I'm pretty sure we've also done an episode with items before. For sure.
Yeah. We've looked at some things. But I don't think we've looked at items outside of the empowered.
That could be a good choice. Just give me
Sounds like a fun community vote.
Oh,
but again, folks, if you have enjoyed watching us critique Mystique and wonder what the hell they were talking about by slapping words in English together to make sentences that don't really make sense, you can find us here every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Okami's channel. And as DM Lacara always says, if you can click any of the buttons, whether they are free or not, all shares and interaction do support Okami and the Roundtable and his other ventures, so we can continue to bring you content. We're always happy to look into more stuff for you. It's always a good time to be here and see the madness and work on Victorian Orphan Chimney Sweet magic.
Oh my god.
Yep.
And we are always looking forward to hearing your ideas. So if you ever have any extra questions, comments, or even questions about maybe some of your own game stuff, there are ways. You can always drop comments here on either Twitch, probably on the YouTube video, because it'll be easier, and we'll all find ways to chime back in and interact. We're always happy to answer your questions. Feel free to stop by and listen to us wonder what's going on. We're always happy to have you.
You were absolutely correct. We have not yet done a full episode on items. We only did it at the end of Empowered. Wow. Wow, I think I know what my vote's going to be this week.
Maybe we'll look at some items. We'll see. Maybe I think you might have won there, Monkey. I think you might have just successfully gotten us our next episode. But you guys all have a chance to vote for what you want.
For those of you on Twitch,
what's the rules?
Since you can't, I don't think you can comment on a VOD on Twitch, but it will be there. Come find me on Twitter or head over to YouTube and leave us a message, or you can join the Discord. There's a link both on YouTube and Twitch. You can come chat in the Tabletop Schmabletop channel over there on Discord and tell us what you want to see next week.
Oh, yes.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Oh, I will cover you with sticky Well, sticky on one side. To you, it won't be sticky because they're weird. That is just... Everything is just written so weirdly. I'm going to add Fire Ward and Air Ward to my repository, but tweaked because they're not good the way they are.
They need so much help.
They need a lot of help. So, bye everyone on YouTube. No, actually, I have
Bye.
to end Twitch first. Bye everyone. Bye, Teth. We love you. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
And now I'm gonna